Let's power up. Power on. Let's get him.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about Captain Power, and we're going to finish up the rest of the toy line in this video. I've covered the figures, the base, and a couple of other oddball things here, but we're going to go into, this is the unreleased in the US, or the European released items. One of them actually probably was released in the US, but I haven't talked about it yet, so I'm going to talk about it. But the thing about this is that out of all the toy lines, Captain Power is probably the most viable live-action reboot as a TV series or a movie. They've already tried before with Phoenix Rising. I don't know if anything's going to come of that. It's pretty exciting though, but that's been a decade and nothing's really happened since then. But with all of this stuff resurfacing, such as Crystar, and we saw that coming back, maybe there's more franchises. I think Captain Power would probably be at the top of the list. Let's take a look at these European release vehicles coming up. One thing I want to point out is that if you look at the videos for Secret Galaxy, Toy Galaxy, one of the biggest toy tubers out there, they make some excellent videos. But it's always stood out to me that Captain Power is the most popular franchise. It's going up against, of course, Saturday Morning Cartoons beats it out because that's every franchise in one. But this is the most popular franchise on their channel. It's been that way for years now. No one's really taken them out yet. And some of these other ones that are up there probably aren't the greatest. But I just wanted to point that out, how popular that Captain Power really is. So the first vehicle I'd like to showcase is the Dread Stalker. This is it's interesting because it's a sign of the times. It's remote control instead of radio control, and it's good and bad. Actually, it's kind of bad because of the fact that the internal mechanisms always fail, hang up, and there's some issues with them years down the road. So I do want to show this off, and yeah, it's hard to get him to stand in there. I will probably put him back in a second. So we got this gunner station in the back, and it's all interconnected, and I guess it's made to where you can shoot the gunner station that direction, and then you can put a figure in there, and then you have a figure up here manning the driver's seat, or the pilot seat, whatever you want to call that. You got a couple of red guns up front. You've got 6 legs here, and this can be found pretty cheap. I think I got this one for like under 20 bucks, but it was supposed to have worked, and it did work. We'll get into that, but it has, the whole gimmick of this is that it walks on its own. A nice little windshield up front here, and I don't know, what's this, kind of like a bumper in the front, bumper in the back. So this is kind of cool. I do think this was actually released in the US, so the rest of these will be Euro only releases, not released in the US or Canada, I don't think. I'm not sure if some of this stuff got released in Canada. I know that what happens at the end of the toy lines is that it doesn't sell well here, but it picks up in other countries, and other countries they're just starting to get some of this stuff, and they're still excited about it, so they ship it over there, and it still sells well, even though it's just stopped selling here because like 8 more toy lines just came out. Okay, so here's how it works. You push this button, and you can hear it trying to work. You can see it sort of working. It's funny noise, terrible noise. So this is the problem with this thing. So I did take one of these apart. I did take this one apart, and it's crazy because there's a lot of springs and resistance in there, and the motor turns, and the gears are supposedly turning, but there's too much resistance in some places and not enough in others, and so I tried to mess with the spring resistances, and I still had no luck. But it did walk forward 3 steps, back 3 steps, then forward 2, back 2, and then it just kind of got to this level. So it worked when I got it for just a few steps, and I think that's the story about all these. And it's, sadly, if you open a brand new one out of the box, you might still have the same problems. It's just poorly designed the way it was designed, but it still looks kind of cool on a shelf if you just want to display your figures in it. And that's pretty much what it's going to be amounted to, a worthless Dread Stalker. Okay, so the next one I want to show is the ATR Mobile Proton Cannon. And when I first picked it up, I think I got a pretty good deal on it, but I didn't realize what all it did. And it's kind of cool what it does. So we're going to go through it and just look at it, and then I'll show you the function and features of this. But basically, you can open this canopy here, and there's some detail inside the canopy, which is kind of nice, but no stickers or paint or anything in there. Then you put your Captain Power figure, or whoever, Hawk Masterson or something along those lines, in there. And then, looking at it, fits one figure there, and then I think you can fit a figure right here. So trying to be too creative here, just put Tank in there, and Tank is going to take that role. And so that's kind of cool. He does have some stickers all over this, so looks kind of cool when it's all stickered up. And with that, it has a connection point right here. So it's two separate vehicles that do come apart. I don't know how easily they come apart. I don't remember. There we go. So there is a connection tab like that, and then there's this point right there. So it kind of pulls this thing here, and then you can break it into two, which makes it easier to store, display, but it's not really what it was intended for. I don't know why they did that, but it's kind of interesting. So now we can take a look at each of these separately. So this could be like a little ship or something for the kids. It does roll. And looking at this, we've got this gold sensor, gun, or whatever it is, but it does look kind of cool. And then you have this, it looks like top wings, stabilizer wings, and then we have some smaller wings right here, some little blue guns that go with it, and then the wheels. So not a whole lot going on with this bad boy. Nice fun sticker up there, and then that's what that does. This one here, on the other hand, it does have this giant proton cannon, and then it does go up and down a bit, and then you have this gold piece of whatever sensor that is. Maybe it's a scope or something, so you can see what you're about to shoot and blow up. You have a free floating wheel here, and then you've got this one here that's gone one of those. It's not a wind up. It's kind of like as you give it some friction, it goes. We're going to give it a good go and see what all it can do. And but I am going to take the figure out because it does kind of bump the figure. You do have a control panel in there. You can see kind of what they're looking at inside there. It's kind of cool. Got a little sticker here, which you would never see if it was connected still, and then some other stickers on the side. I do like what's going on with the wheels. I guess those are just stickers too, but it is pretty cool. Now, for the fun, and it goes for a while. So that is really cool. And actually, if you think about it, it goes both ways. So I kind of like that mechanism. And you think about almost 40 years later, it's still working, but you connect it up with this, and then and you can have this whole thing working. And the more you push it, the faster it'll go. So that's kind of a fun play feature. We don't see stuff like that so much anymore. I'm sure this is a very expensive toy. And they took the electronics gimmick out of these, so they had to give it something new. This is the Proton, ATR Mobile Proton Cannon. All right, so next up we have the Magna cycle. Now this is one that I had to get boxed to get it complete, and it's one of those that was kind of a pain to pick up and a little harder to find, although it just for some reason didn't feel like something that should be hard to find. It was kind of hard to find. So anyhow, let's take a quick look at the box. Only because we have the box, wind up Magna cycle, and it shows kind of you see Captain Power piloting it, driving it, and then here it is on the back. So kind of the same picture on the front and the back. I think that's kind of consistent with their packaging, just one picture front and back, and makes it easy on them, I guess. But yeah, there's the box. I'm not really so into the packaging on this stuff. It also came with this card, which I thought was cool. It's an interesting little Magna cycle card, and on the back of it, it shows how you operate this thing, how you assemble it, put the guns on, and operate it. So that's interesting. They all have these kind of cards for pretty much everything. I don't have it for all these vehicles though, because these are some of the harder ones to find. Now, let's take a look at this bad boy. We do have a sticker looking like they have a control panel on the side where they can kind of maybe plot where it's going to fire, and that's kind of cool too. This is a sticker on the side. You got two wheels at the front. It does it move? Yeah, it articulates just a little bit on the cycle there. And then you've got these in the back, and they are connected to this mechanism we're going to take a look at here in just a second. We have a windshield that does come up. It pops up. Inside there we have a sticker of another control panel, which is really cool. And then moving over here, we have this front grille on it, and then on the side here, so you've got one giant cannon looking thing. It's a little articulated, and then you have a smaller one. It looks like a missile. It looks like you can just shoot this missile right off there, kind of like a Joe missile, more like the Kenner RoboCop from the helicopter and stuff like that. Then we have these red exhaust on both sides, which nope, it's just on this side. So red exhaust on this side, and then moving back to the back. Now the gold I haven't experienced any problem with it, but gold plastic from the 80s does tend to break. So let's get into the action feature of this. So what you do is you just turn this and then let go of it, and it rolls. It's not really fast. I think oh, there it goes. The Proton cannon, and this is getting older and it's probably not working as well, but the Proton mobile ATR mobile Proton cannon, I think it works a whole lot better. This kind of barely works. It does work, but nothing like that Proton cannon. That thing moves, but it looks like it would move, but you put it down, that's about all it does. Anyway, it's really kind of a cool vehicle, very small. I think this was a lower price point one. I mean, it's really hard to tell what the MSRP was on this back in the day because you'd have to convert it at the time from whatever prices that you see on these. So, and I just don't know. But anyhow, that is the Magna cycle, which looks cool and interesting, and it's in this sort of new Euro release type of design. One last thing about the Magna cycles, I think that it's really cool. They did this with several of the vehicles, but they included these extra guns and accessories and backpacks. So I think this Magna cycle came with a blue backpack, and then this black gun, or no, one of these was blue, one of them was black, one of them was gold, and then it had a gold one of these little receiver pieces here. So what the whole point of that is to add more accessories to your figures, make it worthwhile purchase. Of course, you're not just getting the cycle, you're getting one of each of these accessories. And so they also came in different colors and were included in different sets. And one of the sets got a backpack that looks like this versus the backpack that looks like this. So why is this important? Because it could sort of fill out your figures. So let's see what it looks like with figures holding these. All right, so here we go with them holding the accessories, and I think that this is a really cool addition for a kid's toy line. Just add more weapons accessories, mostly because a lot of the original weapons accessories are broken. They are broken today, it's hard to get them, and it's fun to put a display together and have some actual original, authentic accessories that are going to work. And so with that, you can just put them with an extra backpack if you wanted to, or you can put them with I got Chase here with whatever this readout thing is, detonator. You could call it whatever you want, I guess. And then her backpack. So with that, it's really cool, really interesting, kind of a fun little addition. And when I first started collecting these, I had no idea what was going on with this. Honestly, I'm still not 100% sure what accessories go with what, but it's still fun to have them, and I'm going to use them to display with my figures. Now, I've already done a video showcasing this, which is really awesome, to tell you the truth. Probably the coolest design of a vehicle, and this was in the show. See, I don't think any of the other things we're looking at today were actually in the show. This was actually in the show, so it's just really cool to get these cycles, which, and I've said it in my past videos, but I'm just going to kind of cover it real quick again, that this the cycle and launcher, these cycles would sell really well back in the day. If they were selling these for, say, like $6 a cycle or $5 a cycle or something like that, they are very cheaply made, very just hollow, and there's not much to it. So I really think that if they would have just put this out separately, this would have been a huge seller in the States, and maybe they pack it with a figure or something, you know, for $7 or something. I don't know, but I do love the vac metalized figures. They look fantastic, and with the Skybikes, I mean, if they have a reboot of this, they've definitely got to make the Skybike. It wouldn't be very expensive. It's like ingenious, like one of the cheapest design of a toy that you can make, and to make it for a 6-inch scale, they made 6-inch scale ones of these. That would be amazing. Also, we have on here this. Now, this is, I don't think this was a US release. It was hard to pop this off here. It's been a while. This is the Blast Pack 1200, which is cool for a lot of reasons. First of all, it is a huge jetpack, which is kind of the obsession of jetpacks from the 80s. This is actually quite more of a realistic size and scaling of in the 80s if they were making a jetpack, what it would take to actually propel in the air. So I kind of like that. They're kind of grounded in reality. But with this, it's It's kind of hard to get his hands to stay on there, and I don't want to break the tabs. I don't want to break his hands, and so all that kind of stuff. You do have, this is like an extra little contraption here. Now, I think this might be the same design as what we got with one of the figures, but I know for a fact we have these two guns. They're just blue colors of Hawk Masterson guns, and then you got some other guns on the side there. So this is fun. The idea that this actually does shoot, I think I took the batteries out, but this makes a noise, and it is interactive with all of the electronics. Now this is not interactive with electronics, so in the European release and stuff, this is the only thing left, and maybe these came to the US for a short period of time, but I never saw them. And then here's the rest of the Skybike and launcher. Now I've done a review on this, so we won't spend much time, just kind of show it real quick. But fun stuff that we never got in the US when we were kids. Last thing, we're just going to look at this anti-personnel patroller. It's the same on the front and the back, so, and pretty much the same on the top. This is one that was talked about as if it's a prototype, as if it never made it out. But it did make a small production run at the very end, very, very small. And they put a lot of work into it for it to be such a small production run. As you can see, it opens up like that. So I'm curious about this vehicle. I would love to get my hands on one that is a loose one. It looks like the top piece folds up and the rest of it splits for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's probably, might even be the dumbest toy ever made in the history of the world. But I did spend $500 to buy this thing. And I called in a favor from a friend and $500 to get this thing. It's not cheap. And with that, I'm just terrified to open it because I know we only live once. Probably should open it and check it out. But I'm afraid I'm going to be ultra beyond disappointed with it and feel like I wasted opening a sealed one of something that barely exists in the world. So I'm not going to just yet. I'd like to get my hands, if somebody has a loose one. If you've got a loose one in your collection, put up a video and then link it to me, and I'll promote it for you, because I would just love to see what this thing does, how it acts in action. Would love to see that. But anyway, yeah, as it stands right now, this is the one thing in Captain Power that I cannot review, or don't review. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Captain Power last wave of vehicles, the European only releases. Maybe they went to Canada too, I don't know. But tracking them down these days is kind of tough. It's kind of challenging. So I figure that we can just share this and you could get to see what all these things do. And it's just kind of a fun piece of history. Now, I do think that this would make a great reboot. And if they rebooted it, they probably wouldn't make any of these toys that are right here, except the Skybikes. And so I would love to see that. I'd love to see 6-inch versions of Captain Power. I'd love to see a full-on Skybike. I'd love to see all of that. Or even if they picked up at the 3.75-inch scale, that would be great. Even if we got reaction figures and reaction vehicles, like we did with Tron, that would be great. I mean, I'd be happy for pretty much anything else to further this line. It is so small, but has so much potential, and there's still more characters that get made. So anyway, I'm curious what you think about Captain Power. Do you think it'll ever have a reboot as a live-action movie during this crazy time where we have strikes with writers and actors and maybe an independent filmmaker could get it done? Anyway, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more Retro Wednesdays in the future, more toy lines, and I have a series of discussions that's going to be coming up through the rest of the year. Like, subscribe to Deer Hanger out.
Not a sound.
I'm ready for liftoff.